Hello guys and welcome to the AR VR Bootcamp organized by dsckiit and
XoRphilic.
I am Sanchit Sharma, your instructor for this video, and with me I have Anwesha.
Hello, I'm Anwesha and I'll be a co-instructor for today.
So in our previous video, we started off by making a game, and in this one we'll be completing that. So in our previous video, we ended by making our ambulance move, but I realized it wasn't an ambulance, it was a fire brigade. So we ended by making our fire brigade move, but we weren't able to control it with our keyboard. So we'll be doing that, we'll be adding controls to our fire brigade, but not only that, we'll be adding many more things like
We'll be incorporating South Indian physics. Who knows what else we'll break while trying to fix bugs? Collecting stars, adding sounds, and driving through the city to get through it safely. So bring out the best driver in yourself.
yes, you will have to test your driving skills in this. We'll be doing that and we'll be playing a lot with physics. This will be the end for the game development stuff because we had to move on to AR VR. So we'll be completing this game and we'll be ending here. And this will be the last video with me as an instructor, moving on towards learning more AR VR content. And if you have any doubts, if you want to do more of the game development stuff, there is the XoRphilic Discord channel. Don't forget to join that. Link is in the description down below. And in the entire process, if you encounter any doubt or if you encounter any error, do comment them down below. We are more happy to help you. And of course, if you want to see more game development stuff, you have my YouTube channel too. I'm close to 500 subscribers. So you can also check that out. Link is in the description. So without wasting any time, let us start with the video. We'll be starting with Anwesha and I will be joining you later in the video. So with this, let us start. What do you say, Anwesha?
See you on the dark side.
In the last video, we gave our vehicle a very basic movement. So let's see how it goes. Oh, accelerated first drive. And so let's try and control the vehicle to prevent future accidents. And who knows, maybe it will inspire you to create your own GTA. Since we used the translate function in the last video, let's go with that. There may be other more optimized methods than this. So be sure to explore. So now, see, let's paste it here. Okay, so what vector c dot forward or vector c dot right they do are is that they return the local facing of the game object or the local axis of the game object and may or may not align with the global axis. Let's wait for Unity to compile the scripts again. So X, Y, and Z are called the global axis and they do not change. For example, now we have this fire truck. So now, since our fire truck is facing in this way forward, our vector theta forward will return 0, 0, 1, which means it's facing the Z axis, vector 3 dot forward. And our current vector 3 dot right would be 1, 0, 0, X axis. Now if you rotate it, it's rotated by Y, so it's easier to understand. Now since I rotated it Y, the local axis or the local facing would be this way, somewhere between Z and negative X. So return somewhere between a value. And this would be the vector right, not the red one, but somewhere in between Z and X axis. Now let's reset the positions, the rotations rather. So now since we want to control it in inputs, where would we get the inputs from? Different platforms have different forms of input. Android takes in touch input, PC has keyboard, mouse input, and maybe other forms of input as well. Gaming consoles use joysticks. Now, since we are on a PC platform, there is a function that we can use, for example, get key down. This is used for specific keys like W, A, S, G or space. For space, you can use either space. This will represent that you are pushing the space down, or you can also use something called key code dot space. This also represents space. The string space can also be written in this way. So now let's try it with the W. I'll comment this out for the timing. Now it seems we have a bracket missing. So now let's save and see what it does. Unity is currently compiling the scripts. I'm sure many of the... Okay, so now it compiled. Let's test it in play mode. Now if we go into the console, now I'm pressing the W key. Expect a lot of lags and crashes from Unity, so be careful and don't forget to save your work at regular intervals so that you don't lose your progress. See, now I have pressed the W key and we have our output on the console. Since we use debug.log, it prints any message inside it to the console. Let's clear it. Now we'll go to the script. So unfortunately, what happens is input.getKey down or input.getKey .getKey, both of them are almost similar. Input.getKey or input.getKey down. What happens is they are platform dependent. So we cannot use the same ifs or input.getKey down for inputs on maybe a joystick or somewhere else that is not a PC system. So what works for us is we'll use a function called input.getAccess. What it does is it takes one string, the name of the access you want to get, and then depending on the input, it returns a value. I'll explain it in detail. You can just write it for now. So let's say, let's uncomment this out. To view the access that you have currently set or that are maybe by default set, so yeah, maybe I apologize for the mistake. So now let us wait while the Unity is compiling the scripts. So to view the default accesses, or maybe how you can change your access settings is by going to File, Build Settings, and then Player Settings, Input Manager. Here you can view all the access that you have. You can decrease or increase the number of access by changing this number. So now since we are using the horizontal axis and the vertical axis, here, these are the name of the axis, the string that the function would take in here. Since the function takes in one string as parameter. Also remember this should match exactly with this, or whatever name of the axis you intend to give, because this is case sensitive. And see, the negative and positive buttons for PC system are left and the right keys. So this is what I meant by taking in the inputs. If you press the left, it'll return a value between -1 and 0. And if you press the right button, it'll give a value between 1 and 0. Since input at get axis returns a value, a floating point number between -1 to 1, when -1 to 0 gives, actually 0 gives that it has not been pressed at all, and less than 0, it means the negative button has been pressed. As you can see, you can also change joystick settings as well. So it works for all types of platforms, most of the types of platforms rather, and there are many more accesses as well. For example, to fire, the name is fire one by default. You can use the left control, maybe for some attacking systems, something like that. So we use the input get access for it to be cross platform system. So now since we want to move forward, okay, the horizontal is what we'll be using to move left and right. We'll be using the left and right keypad buttons to move left and right. So left and right, and the vertical will be for forward and backward. So since we want to move only when we press these keys, whether it be horizontal or vertical, we'll multiply it with, since we're horizontal, input, and we'll multiply this by the vertical input, so that the fire truck or the player does not move when we are not pressing the keys. So now let's check it out. Unity is currently compiling the scripts. It is said that an enemy teaches patience. I wonder if that applies to software as well. Let's play and test it out. So as you can see now, right now, we are not pressing any keys, so it is not moving. It seems I have multiplied the wrong variable. Let me check. It should be moving forward. Right now it's moving, right? Yes. With vector key dot forward, we should be doing vertical input. Since we want to move, rather we want to use the vertical axis. Here's the mess up. Now it's fixed, I guess. Also, while Unity is compiling, let me tell you a thing. The documentation for any of the currently Unity provided functions or whatever they can in the packages, they're all in the docs.unity3d.com. You can refer to it for the documentation. So be sure to check it out. Now, since Unity has finished compiling the scripts, we'll go into the play mode. Let's hope we don't break anything else. So now let me push the forward. Oh, see, since it's moving, well, crash into something. So now since we are moving in the left and right or the forward and backward directions, also just a quick note, vector 3 dot left is just the negative of vector 3 dot right. Just remember that. Now since we are moving in two planes, the x and the z plane, this is the x and this is the z for horizontal and vertical movements. So now in real life, what happens if we move in two directions, we get the resultant direction along which we actually move. So now since there is a change in direction, a change in rotation is inevitable. So now to do this, let us summon transform dot rotate. Usually transform dot rotate takes in two sacrifices, as you can see here. Usually it takes in two parameters. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be working with the one parameter version. We are short on sacrifices. So what we'll do is, okay, so since we are moving in two planes, we need the rotation along the axis that is perpendicular to both of the planes. Perpendicular to vector 3 dot forward and perpendicular to vector 3 dot right, which in our case is this green line, rather the y-axis for. See, I can show you. If we rotate it along the x-axis, we are becoming a part of the road, and we do not want that right now. So I reset it. Now, if we rotate it along the y-axis, this is the rotation that we require. Here, if we move it forward and left, sorry, and this should be the case when we move it right and forward. So this is the vector 3 dot up. Now let's use it. Field vector 3 dot up into, let us create a variable for it. A floating point variable. You may use speed or maybe int or any other variable. Don't use string though. Let's have it a default value of maybe 2f. Okay, so what serialize field does, wait, let me just multiply it and then we'll see about serialize field. And time dot the time, since we do not want it to depend on the frame rate. Okay, let me save. So what serialize field does, it's the our variable right now is private, so meaning it should not be a normal private variable will not be displayed on the inspector panel. For example, I have float, for example, random variable d. This variable will not be displayed on the inspector panel. Example, as you can see, speed and rotation speed, the one that were below serialized field, are currently displayed side by side. If you keep, these both have the serialized field on them, but float t, which is a private variable, does not show up on the inspector panel. So what serialized field does, it displays the private variables onto the inspector so that we can edit them. We do not have to change the script again and again. But since these are private and we do not want any unauthorized programs to access it, we use this. Okay, so if we make it public, there is a high chance that any unauthorized program can change the values and maybe manipulate it or delete it. I mean, delete the values that it stores by changing it to the default value of 0, maybe something. So now, since we have a script ready, the rotation, let's test it out. So, oh, see, even if we aren't giving any inputs, this is rotating by itself, which we do not want. So now, let us fix this error. Since the floating point horizontal and input variables give 0 when they are not being used, we'll multiply it with both. Since we want the rotation only when we are moving in both the planes or in both directions, we do not want to keep on rotating when we are just moving forward. Now this should fix it. We'll wait while Unity is compiling the scripts. Now let's see what this rotation does. Go into Anwesha. Also, let me just increase it to maybe 45 and maybe decrease the speed a bit so that we can see it a bit more clearly. Rotation. Nothing else to see in here. Alright, so now let's test it out. Now we are moving and we are rotating, and here I've already bumped into the road. I make for a terrible driver, I know. It's okay. I won't burn your eyes anymore. Okay, so since we have completed rotation and the left and right movement with the forward and backward movement as well. Also, there's just one thing. I'll show it in play mode. Just a little tidbit that we should be careful about. So maybe if I make it to 90, see it works in here. We have a more clear rotation, but any changes made in the play mode will not be reflected when you get back from the play mode. See, now we have this, the value is 90, but if we exit the play mode, our value gets reverted back to 45. So be careful while making changes in the play mode. Play mode is a good playground to make changes or maybe test some things out, but the values will not get reverted back. But if we even check boxes or the positions of the objects, they won't be reverted back. So also, so we'll just set up. Well, if you can see in here, since the update function is called each and every frame. So what we are doing here is we are declaring these two variables every frame, and that may cause a significant, may not cause a significant lag, but it's best to not have these like that may cause lag. Since declaring a variable every frame, it's like 300 times per second or maybe even 60 times per second declaring two variables equals to 0. Okay, so now we have reduced a bit less load on the Unity. For physics-based systems, because what update does it executes every frame, which means it is dependent on the frame rate of your system. So it might not just be the best idea to run physics-based simulations on fixed update. So what we have for that is a function called fixed update. What fixed update does, it executes a fixed number of times per second. So that it is not dependent on the frame rate, and that is why physics based anything is recommended to be updated in the fixed updated or executed the fixed update. So let's go back in. So I hope you enjoyed my sappy gameplay and lame jokes. I hope they at least gave you a few laughs. I hope. So my short and sweet instruction brought you to this rotations and maybe a field. Now Sanchit will be the one guiding you next.
So hello, this is Sanchit, and till now what we have done, let me just quickly go through it. So we know what we have done till now. So our car is moving, and sorry, our fire brigade is moving. It is fire brigade. I realize that this is not an ambulance but a fire brigade. So our fire brigade is moving accurately. It is able to turn, and I can turn. Okay. Just forgive me for this absurd behavior. We will quickly correct it. And it is able to run. But the very first abnormal thing that is happening with our fire brigade is, even if we are not moving forward, we are able to move with A and D. And this is absolutely a ghost behavior. This doesn't happen in real life. So we don't want this type of behavior. So we will be correcting this. So till now, whatever you have done, first we will be polishing it a little bit. We'll be fixing out some bugs like why a car is floating like this and that. So the very first thing is this. But before going towards this thing, let me just quickly explain you once again what this few lines of code does. So we have just taken a few variables: speed, turn speed, horizontal input, and forward input. All of them are of type float, and all of them are private, but we have made two variables, that is turn speed and speed, as serialized field so that we can view them in the inspector window here. So, and in the update, what is happening? We are constantly getting the horizontal input and storing it in horizontal input variable. We are constantly getting the vertical input and storing it in forward input, because actually this vertical input is is the input that will make our fire brigade go forward or backward. So we are storing it as forward input. And finally, we have used transform.translate. You already know what it is, and we have multiplied it like vector 3 dot forward trans time dot delta time to make it frame independent. We have multiplied it with speed so that there is a variable which we can control, and we have multiplied it with forward input so that when we press the key, it goes forward or backwards. Similarly, we have done with rotate. Actually, it is rotating, and it is rotating along the y-axis. Vector 3 dot up represents the y-axis, that is 0 comma 1 comma 0. You can see there it is a shorthand notation. And again, we are multiplying turn speed, that is our own speed. I have taken it 45 because I find this value to be suitable, with horizontal input, and multiplied it again with time dot delta time to make it frame independent. So this is the thing, and with just these things, I am easily able to move my fire brigade accurately, and my speed values is 22 and turn speed is 45. So let me just quickly make you realize that what the problems are and what the good things are. So when I press W, the fire brigade is moving actually pretty good, and when I press A, it is also turning it. But yes, as I said, I don't want them to be turned like this. And yes, you can see it is colliding. Okay, it is colliding with the objects because I have added colliders to each one of them. I have added colliders to every object, and all of them are having mesh colliders. Only my ambulance, not an ambulance, only my fire brigade is having a box collider, and we have talked about it in our previous video. So let us quickly go and fix the bug that I first talked about. We are able to turn the fire brigade even when we are not moving forward, and that is an absurd behavior. So just quickly, just think for a bit what we can do. As a hint, I'm saying that we need to multiply something here. We need to multiply something here so that it moves only when it turns only when we are moving forward or backwards. Otherwise, the A and D buttons don't work because usually the car doesn't move. We are not moving forward and backwards. So just quickly think for a second. Okay, so I think that you might have thought and you might have arrived to the correct answer. So it's a simple thing. What we can do is we are multiplying with horizontal input, but we can also multiply it with the vertical input. So when the vertical input is 0, so when the word actually when the forward, I have to say forward, when the forward input is 0, this whole thing will turn out to be 0. Because if one thing is 0, by default forward input, if you're not pressing the key, it is at 0. Okay, it is at false. So if you're not pressing the forward key, forward A or D, sorry, to be say W or S key, then this forward input will be 0 if you're not pressing forwards or backwards button. And when this is 0, this whole thing will turn out to be 0, and our vehicle will not turn. A lot of theory. Let us go and see in practical, is it true what I'm saying? So let us go and check it. So let me maximize it to have the best view. So I'm moving forward and I'm able to turn. Okay, I'm pretty much able to turn, but okay, accident. We will soon fix this too. Okay, so okay, now what should I do? I have to restart. Sorry for that, I have to restart. And let me check once again. So I'm moving forwards and I'm able to turn. But when I'm not moving forwards, even if I'm hitting A and D, I'm not able to turn. So that is the almost correct behavior that we were asking for, and I liked it. Now I know that, and it is good that our vehicle is colliding with the things, but it is turning out to be like, what should I say, accidental, if it is colliding even with like very small things. So we will soon fix it. That is because now we fixed one bug. Now let us go and move forward. Okay, so what just happened? Oh, okay, what's happening? Okay, let us go and move forward. So what we need to do is, when our vehicle is colliding with the things, it should not like it should not turn around, or it should not at least quickly go upside down. So what we can do is, the first thing is we can apply a rigid body uh, to these objects too, so that they will also react to the physics. For now, what is happening is we have only colliders in all of these surroundings. None of them have the rigid bodies, so none of them are reacting to the collisions. This It is only the fire brigade that is reacting to the collisions, and that's why it is turning upside down without anything happening to the surrounding. So, and I clearly want that too, but let me explain you what I want. I want that the player should drive accurately, and of course, if the player hits the surroundings, if the fire brigade turns around, it's pretty much justified. But if our fire brigade touches or hits any of the vehicle, it should not. So what I have to do is I have to apply rigid bodies to the other vehicles. Now, what I'm saying might not be like might be floating above your head. So let me just explain you a bit. So, okay. So what I'm saying is, if I'm in the play mode, let me go in the play mode. If I'm in the play mode, I want the player to drive the vehicle accurately, and yes, to drive the. And if I'm hitting any other vehicle, for example, let me go and hit this car. Okay, so I don't want this to happen because clearly that is the car and this will not happen. It is the car that should like get backwards or should have impacted, but that car is there like a stone. So we will add rigid bodies to all of those objects too, so that they also will react to the physics. And when two physics objects will collide, something, a natural disaster or not a proper accident will happen. So what I should do is go to the cars. I have categorized them and all I have a proper categories where all of my vehicles are there. I will select all of them. I will just click here, add component, and I will click on rigid body, and I will add with a single click rigid bodies would be added to all of them. Just this. Okay, now let me go, and you will see that those objects too will react to physics. Let me go to the play mode and let us see. So I am going and let me, okay. Wait a minute. Why none of the cars are here? Oh, the street is empty. Why? But why? All of the cars are gone. Okay, so the possible explanation is because is gravity option is checked. So they are flying, actually they are going down. That is what I'm thinking. So let me go and check what actually is happening to these cars. Well, that's my prediction that gravity is showing skills and the cars are falling down, but that's just my prediction. Let us go and let me just drag and drop this side by side so I can see the scene view also. These are all my cars. Let me just hit the play mode and you will see what is actually happening. So see, all of them are going down, all of them are going down. That shouldn't happen. What we can do is I can just make them a little up so that they just don't fall down. Okay, and now when I hit the play mode, let us see if they fall down or not. Okay, so they're again falling down. They're again falling down. So what I can do is, it's really simple. What I can do is, okay, so now they are floating also. Let me revert back. So they are on the ground. Select all the cars. So all the cars are selected. And uncheck this use gravity button. Okay, uncheck this use gravity button. Now they will not fall down. Click on play mode. And yes, they are not falling down. And let us go and hit those cars and see what happens. Okay. Oh. We clearly don't want these type of flying fire brigades. I know. We will soon fix this. Don't worry. Let me again go to the play mode because it is not functioning correctly. Okay, and I will go. Okay, and let me hit the car. What the heck happened just now? What the heck happened? I'm just passing with them, and this shouldn't happen. Let us go and see what the heck is happening to them. Okay, so this happens, and in many cases it happens. their mesh collider is actually not working. Okay, their mesh collider is not working, and this is the issue with Unity's mesh colliders, because mesh collider directly works on the 3D objects. So if the 3D objects doesn't have proper meshes, the mesh collider will not work. Now what are meshes? Are like these rectangles you can see, the polygons from which the game object or the car is made of. So these are made of meshes. So if the meshes are not proper, let me just show you. This is the shaded, and let me go to the wireframe mode. So you see these are the wireframes. Okay, and now if these are not proper, if these wireframes are not proper, the mesh collider won't work accurately, and that's why it was going down also. And we had to untick the use gravity button. So what we will do is I will just exit the play mode, from the wireframe go to the normal mode. And I think there's an easy fix for this. What I will do is already have my cars categorized. I will select all the cars. Okay, and I will remove the mesh collider from them, and I will add a box collider to them. Okay, wait a minute. I will add a box collider to them. So all of them will have an accurate box collider. And what I will do now is I will also check use gravity. And now in the play mode, I will see what happens. You can see they are perfect. So there are some bugs with Unity itself, and there is always been bug with mesh colliders. So now I will, okay, so this divider is giving my fire brigade a hard time, a serious hard time, I have to say. So I will just go and I will hit them. Now when I'm hitting them, you can see proper physics are happening. You see I'm able to like, okay, so this is no proper physics. Okay, pardon, this is no proper physics, but still I'm able to properly hit them, and they're reacting to collisions. At least they are reacting to collisions. Just see, they will react to collisions. Yes, you see they are reacting to collisions. I know my fire brigade is flying, but you just see that they're reacting to collisions. Okay, and this is really cool. You see they are reacting with to collisions. So now let us go and make my fire brigade a little more realistic. So what I will do is I will click on my fire truck, and what I will do is I will increase the weight. Currently it's just 1 unit, so I will make it 100 or even 1000, because that. And for the angular drag, let me take 10 for drag, and for angular drag let me take 5. So it will add some resistance, some friction and mass to my fire truck. Those are necessary for physics, so I will add them, and now I will see if it's like floating or not. Yes, the floating issue is there, but still it is not that much. It has considerably improved. Now when I, okay, you can see it is properly colliding. You see, okay, so yes, we want this. We want, seriously want this comical type of physics to happen, that objects should, what I have to say, if you're on the road, the other object should like blast like this. Okay, so we seriously want this to happen. So like it is good. So yes, they're reacting to physics, and at least now my fire brigade is not floating, and it's good. So now let us go one step forward, and for now I think we have fixed pretty much, we have fixed bugs. Yes, we have fixed many bugs. Let us play a little more, select all the cars, and let us modify some of the rigid body properties. Okay, we can modify some of the rigid body properties, and what we can modify is we can uncheck use gravity also. We can have angular drag 0, we can have mass 0, we can have everything 0. Okay, actually mass can never be 0, so like it is having a minimum value of 1 e minus 0.7. and I think this is sufficient. Okay, these things are good, and we can play with these things and see if it happens or not. Let us go to the, and let me just uncheck use gravity also, because I want I want my fire brigade to just have a boom to all those cars. Let me click it on maximize so you can see. I have to accurately drive. I don't have to hit the environment, but I can hit the cars. Okay, so I will hit the cars. Okay, okay, yes. Pretty much nice physics. The type of physics that I wanted. Nice, they're floating. I know they're not looking accurate, but yes, like this is cool. Like this is cool. Okay, so we don't want this. Okay, we'll soon work towards this too. But for now, I think our fire brigade is like pretty much accurate, and like it is, yes, it is pretty much accurate. So I think we have pretty much experimented with our fire brigade. So now let us go and make our gameplay a little more like a game. So what I will do is, in the description of this video, I have provided you with some assets. For example, I have these three music, and I have also provided you with a star. So actually the ambulance will collect this star. Now for just for your information, you can find free sounds in free sound from freesound.org, and all of these three sounds that I have provided you are from this freesound.org only. And talking about the assets, that is this star, like we have this star, and I have downloaded it from Google Poly. You can get some free 3D models from here. So I'm providing you the direct download link. You can download it from them. So I have them here. So what I will do it first is, let us have a background music. Okay, let us first work with the music, then we'll work on with our other things. So we need to have a background music, but how? So you might know, and you might have seen if you have experimented it, that in our camera we have an audio listener. So it is the camera that listens to the audio, but we don't have any audio speaker. So we will add one. And for now, for the background music, I will add it here only. So the camera will only produce the audio and it will listen it. So what I will do is, I will like AUDIAU. Just type AU and you will have this audio source. Click on audio source, so you will have this audio source. And there are many parameters, but what we need is that is play on awake, so that whenever we click on play mode, it automatically gets played, because background music always starts when the game starts. And we also want loop, because if the clip ends, it should loop again. And here's the audio clip that we can supply. So for the background music, I have like, yes, ambience creepy wind. So I want this music, so I will just click on camera again, and I will drag and drop this my background music somewhere to the audio listener. Okay, so it is not going down. Let me just, Unity is lagging a bit, so I will drag and drop here to the audio clip. Click Ctrl S to save, and remember to save a scene regularly. And now let's click on the play button and see if we are able to hear any sounds or not. Okay, so no sound is coming, but why? We go to the camera, and we see the audio. So it is play on awake, and it is also on loop, and then also we're not able to hit it. So actually there's no error here. The only thing that I was missing was, let me just go to the play mode. The audio was coming, but I had muted the audio from here. So when I unmute it, you can see that there is some background. there is some background music. I'm not liking it very much, but yes, of course, you can have your own from freesound.org, and I will just lower the volume. 0.4 is fine, but as the changes will not be reflected back, I will exit the play mode, click on my camera, and in the volume I will type 0.4, and this is the volume that we want. Now I also want that um, when I'm driving my ambulance, there has to be some sound. So I have some like fast ambulance siren. So let us go and see how we'll do that. First, we will take a public variable to have it in the spectre view. You can also have it as serialized field and have it as audio source and siren. I will name it siren sfx. Okay. Then when I'm translating or rotating, I want that things to happen. So what I will do is whenever transform dot translate is happening, my audio should play. Okay, that is the thing that I want and that we want. I want you to just like think for a second and then continue. Think what we should do. So yes, so what I will do is I can have an if statement. Clearly I can have an if statement. So the easiest way is to have an if statement, and in this if statement I can have horizontal input. But why horizontal input only? Because if horizontal input is happening, horizontal input, so actually it will give a value between -1 and 1. So what I can do is double equal to 0, and I can have a not condition. So this is the statement. So when the horizontal input is not 0, that is when the when the key is not pressed. When will the horizontal input be 0? When there are no keys pressed. So when no key is pressed, it will return true, and this not will turn that to false. And when key is pressed, it will return false, and this not will turn that to true. So ultimately, if any key is pressed, I will go inside the if statement, and what I have to type is siren sfx dot play, and just type this play and click Ctrl S to save, and let us see if it works or not. But before seeing if it works or not, I need to go to my fire truck and I need to add an audio source. And in this audio source, I will drag and drop this siren voice. Okay. And in this controller, there is this siren SFX. So I will drag and drop this audio source into this controller. So now this controller script knows what is the which audio source it is referring to. It is referring to this audio source only of the fire truck, and this fire truck, this audio source has that audio attached of the siren. So this siren is attached to audio source, and through this audio source we are playing that siren. We are not playing that directly. Okay, so that is the thing that I need to tell to you. So let us click on play mode and see if it works. Okay, but why it is playing, our car is not moving but still it is playing? That is because in the fire truck play on awake is ticked. Just uncheck it, just untick that play on awake, and now let us see. So only background music is playing. Now when I move forwards, okay, so this thing is happening. Okay, so what actually is happening? Whenever we are having horizontal input, it is playing it again and again, and even it is not waiting for the previous clip to complete. So what we can do is we can have another if statement, and in this if statement I can type if the audio clip, so for example siren sfx dot is playing. So if the audio source is already playing, if the audio source is already playing something, then what we want? We don't want anything to happen. But if it is not playing, that is when it will come in the else statement. We want the certain SFX to play. Okay, let us go and see once again. So I will just click on play. Let us see if it is attached. So certain SFX, it is not attached. Let me just drag and drop. So I have just drag and drop it, and let me click on the play mode and see what happens. Background music is playing correctly. Let me move forward. Okay, so it has started playing, but you see, when I stop using the keyboard, that is WNSD, it is still playing. So what I need to do is, if I have stopped pressing the keys, the SFX should also stop. So for that, what I can do is, if the horizontal input is not 0, so I can have an else statement. Simply I can have an else statement, and in this else statement I can type is siren SFX dot stop. It's as simple as that. Let me just again go to the play mode and click on play. Background music is playing correctly. When I click on W, and when I am stopping, it is playing absolutely correct. Whenever I am stopping or whenever I am not pressing the keys, it is not playing. And whenever my fire brigade is moving, it is playing. So the sound is, you can say, somewhat done. Now let us move forward again. But before moving forward, let me explain like what is happening. So what I have done is, if we are not pressing any keys, that is horizontal input is double equal to 0, and when it will be 0 when we are not pressing any keys. So when we are not pressing any keys, it will return true, and this will make it false. So, and when we are pressing keys, this sentence will return false, and this not will make it true. So when we are pressing keys, it will go inside the if statement, and if our siren SFX is already playing, we need to do nothing. That's why this if statement is empty. But if it's not playing, we need to play it. Okay, and if we are not pressing any keys, if this horizontal input is 0, we need to stop playing it. That's why we have this statement in else, or I can simply write else if, and I can have this horizontal input is double equal to 0. But this is a far better way to do it, and this is what we have done till now. And let us move forward and see what else we can do. So here comes one more main thing. I want to collect stars. So here is my star. Now when you drag and drop it, you will see where the star goes. Oh, it is looking pink and all of that stuff. So just directly don't do that. Delete this star. We need to make this star a proper one. Click on extract materials. Just select the folder, click on select folder, click on yes, and you will have a material. Now this star will reflect this material. So what I will do is I will just drag and drop this star, and you can see how big this star is. We need to make it small, and we will soon do it. But before making it small, let us make it a little more beautiful. So how we will do that, I will click on this material, and you can see as I change the colors, the color of the star is also changing. See, but one thing is there, it is really dull. It is looking dull. So what we can do is, here is this property of emission. I will just take this. just choose the emissive color. Okay, now it is looking bright. I think yellow is quite good, or like this. And but now it is too much emissive. I don't want this to be that much, like that much emissive or that much neon color. So what I will do is, intensity currently it is 0, I will make it -1. Now it is looking good, but I will have it between, I will have it like 0 -0.5. So this looks good. The details of the star is also visible, and the color is also looking like pretty nice and distinguishable. So our ambulance will find route through these stars, and it will collect these stars. But first we need to resize it. So just we need to resize this thing. So I will just make it 0.02, 0.02, and let me see how much smaller it has become. So it is, yes, it is pretty much quite small, like how I want, but I want it to be on the road. So I will just go towards my road. Here where I want it, I will select this star, or I will select this star, click Control Shift F, and I have my star here. Yes, so I have my star. Now I want, what I want is, actually this parent is nothing. We can simply remove this star parent. This P cylinder 3 is actually the star. So what I can do is I can move it out of it. It is saying unpack prefab. So just click on the star, right click, unpack prefab completely. Then click on this P cylinder, move it out, delete this star thing, or if you even don't do it, it will be okay, nothing will much happen. Now rename this to star, so like it doesn't have any child parent relationship. So now we will go and collect these stars, and these stars will show the fire brigade its way to move in the city. And actually not we, the fire brigade will collect these stars. So let us go and do some coding to code, and let us see how we'll collect these stars. But before going towards it, let me tell you there are several ways to do this. In Unity, to do one thing, there's always like several ways to do a single thing. So the way that I have chosen for you is the way of tagging. Now it's a very simple way. What there are multiple ways. For example, we can have a script attached in this star, and this star will control it if this fire brigade is hitting it or not. But we don't want that, and I seriously don't want that. I want this fire brigade to be the brain, and this will control everything. This fire brigade will identify if it has hit the star or not and behave accordingly. So the star in itself is nothing. It is just a 3D mesh. So let me add something. I will add a collider to it to identify if we have hit the star or not. And let me add box collider only. So you see that the collider is there. And now we will hit the star. But actually we don't want to hit the star, Uh, we can let the star pass on. Like we can let our fire brigade to pass on, to pass from the star. So for this we will have is trigger ticked. Now let me not just say and show you what I'm saying. Let us go in the play mode, have your star selected, and when I move forwards, you see I'm only hitting the star, you see. But as soon as I click on is trigger, I can pass. The star has the collider, but still I'm able to pass it. But what we have done, actually, we have ticked on is trigger. Now what is trigger? Is trigger is basically for these type of things only. Here we want there's the fire brigade to pass from the star, and the star should disappear, or and the star should disappear, and it will feel like we have collected the star and the points. So we want that type of feeling. We don't want the fire brigade to hit the star and react to physics. We don't want that. So is trigger does that only. What it does, it disables the physics. but it observes it. It disables, for example, I have to say it disables the collider, but it observes and it sends messages that something has gone past through this. So it will send a message that something has gone past through this. So where it will send the message? It will send the message to the scripts. So let me go to the fire truck, and here in the controller script only I will add some things. So there is this function that I have to say. It is on trigger enter, private void on trigger enter. It will auto complete, and whenever our whenever our fire brigade will hit our trigger, it will call this function. This function is called automatically whenever our, what I have to say, whenever our ambulance will hit by the trigger. So this will be called. So when our ambulance hits the trigger, that is the star, what we want? We want the star to disappear. And yes, firstly we want that. So let us go and do it. What we will do is, how we will identify that we have the trigger is the star. So we will identify it using tags, and tags is a good way to identify game objects in Unity. Just click on the star. For now it is untagged, and let me add a tag, plus button, and it will have a star tag. It is just a string, there's nothing related to it. Go again, select the star, click on star tag. This is just a string. Okay, we will identify it through string. So if, okay, if other, now what is this other? This is this variable only. So what it does, it the collider of the other, that is van is colliding, our fire brigade is colliding with something. So the collider of that thing, that is the star, will be stored in this variable. So other dot game object dot compare tag, and we will compare the tag, and it is star. And if the tag is star, it needs one more brackets. And if the tag is star, what we want is to destroy that game object, and that game object is nothing but this other only, other dot game object. Click Ctrl S to save, and let us see what happens, if what I am saying is true or not, and if it is really happening or not. Wait for Unity to compile the scripts. Click on play mode, maximize on play, click on hit the play button. Okay, so the star disappeared and we want this only. Now let us add some sounds also. So there has to be some feedback that we have collected the star. So for that, I've already given you a coin collecting sound, and we will add this. So first select the star, and we have already done this many times. Add component audio source, drag and drop this coin into this audio clip, untick play on awake, and we are good to go. We need to go to the scripting, and in this public audio source, and star audio source. Okay, and if it is a star, what I will do is play that star audio source. So star audio s dot play. Now just hit that play, click Ctrl S to save. Okay, now let us go and see. Click on the fire truck, and in this fire truck, here we have this star audio source is empty, so we need to give it the audio source. Just drag and drop this star, and it will automatically collect that audio source from star. Now hit the play button. Okay, so no audio was played, but why? Click on star and matrix. Okay, we don't want this. Okay, we want this only, so why it is not playing? Okay, so audio as dot play, and because that audio source is getting destroyed, you see other dot game object is getting destroyed. That's why even if it is playing, we're not able to hear it. So you are able to understand what I'm saying. We have attached that audio source in the star, and the star is getting destroyed. So how it will play the audio? How it will play the audio? It will not. So what I can do is I can attach the audio source not in the star but in somewhere else, for example in the camera or in the fire truck itself. Okay, but for now I will attach it in the camera, but the camera already has an audio source, so I can attach it in the directional light. Okay, I can attach it anywhere. Okay, seriously, I can attach it anywhere. So instead of attaching it there, let me attach to the fire truck itself. Okay, another audio source, because this script is attached to this fire truck only. So I will add another audio source to the fire truck, and I will add this audio source in star audio source. Okay, and I will remove this audio source from this star one, and I will click on play. Okay, so it's working, and play on awake is tick. That's why we were hearing it when we clicked on play mode. So we will uncheck it and click on play again. Absolutely awesome. This is what we were aiming for. So we have these stars, and our game is functioning pretty well. Now we can quickly place the stars and we can have our route set up. Let me just explain you what is happening in the script once more. So on trigger enter, actually our star is a trigger. We just clicked on that trigger button. So whenever our van or our fire brigade will hit a trigger, this function would be called. And as soon as the fire brigade hits the star, this function gets called, and it sees if the game object that we have hit is a star or not through this sentence. It compares the tag, and this is the tag. We have given it a star tag. So it compares the tag. If it is a star, it plays the audio and then destroys the game object. It's simple. And what in update is happening, I've already explained you this siren SFX thing. So that's it. It's just a small 50-line script, and our game is working perfectly. We'll just add a few more stars. So to duplicate it, Control D, and I have the stars here. Okay, so I have placed few stars, and let us go and play our game. Okay. So this is it for this video, and this is where we have come from, creating just from taking just a 3D model of an ambulance or a fire brigade to making it run into a city. So we have come a long way, and the game development thing was still here only. In the next videos, we will be starting with the AR thing. So see you next time.